Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, I want you to stop what you're doing for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you could genuinely change the way you move, the way you feel, and the way you live for the rest of your life. Here is something most doctors will never say out loud in their office. Your legs are not getting weaker simply because you're getting older. Your legs are getting weaker because nobody told you what to feed them, and there is a massive difference between those two things. One is a sentence, the other is a solution. I am Dr. Daniel Morgan, and today I am going to give you that solution. 6 specific foods, ranked from helpful to absolutely transformational, that can rebuild your leg strength, restore your muscle tissue, and give you back the stability and confidence you thought were gone for good. Before I go any further, let me share something that stopped me cold the first time I read it. A landmark study published by the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that adults over 65 who experienced significant lower body muscle weakness had a 72% higher risk of mobility disability within 5 years, alongside a sharp increase in fall-related hospitalizations, nursing home admissions, and early mortality. 72%. That is not a small number. That is nearly 3 out of 4 people who could have intervened earlier but didn't, because nobody handed them what we now know about nutrition, muscle biology, and the aging body. And I'll tell you right now, the number one food on this list is something you probably already have in your kitchen, something you may have even been told to avoid, something researchers at Harvard Medical School now believe is one of the most powerful muscle protective compounds available to humans over 60. I'm saving that one for last, because once you hear it, you will never look at your grocery list the same way again. But first, I want to ask you something directly. Leave a comment below telling me how old you are, and whether your legs have been feeling weaker, heavier, or less stable than they used to. Maybe stairs feel harder now. Maybe you've had a near fall. Maybe getting up from a chair takes more effort than it once did. I read every single comment on this channel, every one. And your story might be the reason someone else finds this video and changes their life. Take 30 seconds and share it with me. Now let's begin. We are counting down from 6 to 1, from powerful to life-changing. Coming in at number 6, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell: eggs. I know what you've heard your whole life. They raise your cholesterol. They're bad for your heart. Put them down and walk away. I am here to tell you, with the full weight of current nutritional science behind me, that for adults over 60, that advice was one of the most damaging pieces of health guidance ever widely circulated. Here's what eggs actually do for your aging legs. They are one of the most complete sources of leucine on the planet. Leucine is an amino acid. Think of it as the key that starts the engine of muscle protein synthesis, the biological process by which your body builds and repairs muscle tissue. After 65, your body develops what researchers call anabolic resistance. Your muscles grow stubborn, no longer responding as efficiently to protein signals, and they need a stronger trigger to get the same response. Leucine is that trigger. 2 large whole eggs deliver roughly 1.6 grams of it, an amount that research from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign found was sufficient to meaningfully stimulate muscle protein synthesis, even in older adults with significant anabolic resistance. But here's what makes eggs special beyond leucine. The yolk, the part everyone told you to throw away, contains choline, vitamin D, and a remarkable compound called phosphatidylcholine that helps maintain the integrity of your muscle cell membranes. As we age, those membranes grow more fragile, less capable of holding the nutrients muscles need to contract and recover. The yolk acts as a protective coating for your muscle cells. Throwing it away is like buying a car and leaving the engine at the dealership. A patient of mine, Margaret, 74, from Sarasota, Florida, came to me after her second fall in 6 months. She was terrified of her own staircase. She had been on a low-fat diet for over a decade, avoiding eggs entirely on the advice of an older physician. We added 3 whole eggs a day to her morning routine. Within 8 weeks, she told me she walked up her stairs without holding the railing for the first time in 2 years. That is not a coincidence. That is leucine, choline, and vitamin D doing exactly what the science says they should do. For best results, eat 2 to 3 whole eggs in the morning, ideally with a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado, which improves absorption of the fat-soluble vitamins in the yolk. Do not scramble them dry in a bare pan. Gentle, low heat preserves the integrity of the proteins. Moving to number 5, wild-caught salmon. If your legs feel heavy, if they cramp at night, if they ache when you wake up, there's a strong chance chronic inflammation is quietly destroying your muscle tissue while you sleep. Wild-caught salmon is one of nature's most potent anti-inflammatory weapons. The active compounds here are EPA and DHA, omega-3 fatty acids. Think of inflammation in your muscle tissue like a forest fire. It starts small, burns constantly at a low level, and over years it chars everything around it: the muscle fibers, the connective tissue, the nerve pathways carrying signals from brain to legs. EPA and DHA are the water-bombing aircraft. They don't just soothe the fire, they chemically neutralize the inflammatory compounds, specifically prostaglandins and cytokines, that your body produces in increasing amounts after 60. A study from the University of Aberdeen in Scotland followed 87 adults over 65 for 18 weeks. The group consuming omega-3s equivalent to roughly 3 servings of wild salmon weekly showed a 22% increase in muscle protein synthesis rate compared to controls. 22% from a fish, not a supplement. Salmon also offers another gift almost nobody talks about. It's one of the very few dietary sources of vitamin D3, the active form your skin can no longer efficiently produce after 70. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology found that vitamin D deficiency, affecting an estimated 77% of adults over 65, is directly tied to muscle weakness, impaired balance, and elevated risk of sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss. One 6-ounce serving of wild-caught sockeye delivers up to 988 IU of vitamin D3. The recommended minimum for adults over 70 is 800 IU. One meal gets you there. Eat salmon 2 to 3 times a week. Wild-caught matters. Farmed salmon carries a dramatically different omega-3 to omega-6 ratio and does not deliver the same anti-inflammatory benefit. Pair it with dark leafy greens for vitamin K2 synergy, which brings us to our next item. Number 4, and this one carries an almost mythological reputation among longevity researchers: spinach and dark leafy greens. Think of every elderly person you've ever seen move well, who rose from a chair without pushing off the armrests, who walked without shuffling. I would wager dark leafy greens were a regular part of their diet. Here's the biology. After 75, your body loses roughly 35% of its ability to recycle nitric oxide, a molecule that acts as a traffic controller for blood flow in your legs. When nitric oxide falls, your microcirculation, the tiny vessels feeding your quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, begins to congest. Nutrients can't get in, waste can't get out, and the result is muscle that fatigues faster, recovers slower, and shrinks year by year. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and arugula are loaded with dietary nitrates, which your body converts back into nitric oxide through a process involving bacteria in your saliva. You are using food to bypass what aging has taken away. A remarkable study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden found that inorganic nitrate intake equivalent to about 200 grams of spinach improved skeletal muscle efficiency in older adults by 19%. The muscle didn't grow bigger, it became more efficient at using the oxygen and nutrients already arriving. Picture upgrading the fuel injection system in an old engine. The engine doesn't change, but it runs smoother, cleaner, and longer. Spinach is also extraordinarily rich in magnesium, a mineral 68% of Americans over 60 are chronically deficient in. Magnesium drives over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, and among the most critical is muscle relaxation. When your legs cramp at night, when your calves seize, when your feet curl involuntarily, that is almost always a magnesium signal. 1 cup of cooked spinach delivers 157 milligrams, roughly 37% of your daily requirement, in a single serving. I had a patient named Robert, 71, a retired postal worker from Cincinnati, who came to me describing legs that felt filled with concrete every morning. He'd been taking magnesium supplements for years with limited success. We switched his approach: 2 cups of sautéed spinach daily, cooked in olive oil with garlic. 6 weeks later, he told me the concrete feeling was gone. He was walking his old mail route again, just for the joy of it. The olive oil, by the way, dramatically increases the absorption of spinach's fat-soluble compounds. Always cook your greens in a quality fat. Right here, between item 4 and item 3, I want to pause and ask you something directly. If this information has already opened your eyes to something you didn't know, hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube to put this in front of more seniors who need exactly this. And if you haven't subscribed, do it now. Every week I bring you clinically grounded, practical health information built for adults who want to live stronger, longer, and on their own terms. It takes 1 second, and it may be one of the best health decisions you make today. Number 3, and we are in elite territory now, Greek yogurt. Most people think of yogurt as a light snack, something you eat when you're trying to be good. What most people don't realize is that full-fat Greek yogurt is one of the most anabolically powerful foods available to an aging body, and it is dramatically underused as a muscle-building tool in seniors. A single cup of plain, full-fat Greek yogurt contains roughly 17 to 20 grams of high-quality protein, and critically, a specific amino acid profile including leucine again, along with isoleucine and valine, the branched-chain amino acids absorbed into muscle tissue with remarkable efficiency. Unlike plant proteins, which are often incomplete and require combination with other foods, the protein in Greek yogurt is highly bioavailable. It doesn't take the scenic route. It goes directly to where your muscles need it. But here's what truly elevates Greek yogurt for older adults. It contains live probiotic cultures, specifically lactobacillus, which influence something researchers now call the gut-muscle axis. This is a relatively new field, and the findings are striking. Research from UC Davis found that healthy gut microbiome populations in older adults correlated directly with greater lean muscle mass, better leg strength scores, and faster recovery from physical exertion. The gut isn't just digesting your food, it's regulating how much of that food your muscles can actually use. After 65, the gut microbiome typically grows less diverse, less robust, less efficient at extracting nutrients. Probiotic-rich foods like Greek yogurt help restore that diversity. Think of it as restocking a library that's been slowly losing its books. The more complete the library, the better your body finds and uses the information it needs. For maximum benefit, eat your Greek yogurt within 30 to 45 minutes of physical activity. Even a short walk counts. This is your anabolic window, when muscles are most receptive to protein signals. Add a tablespoon of ground flaxseed for extra omega-3s, or a drizzle of raw honey, whose enzymes can further improve probiotic survival in the digestive tract. Always choose plain, full-fat versions. Low-fat versions typically replace the fat with added sugar, which fuels the very inflammation we are fighting. Now, number 2, the one I promised you would surprise you. Beets. I can see some of you smiling, some of you skeptical, and I understand completely, because beets are not the first thing that comes to mind when you think about building strong legs. But the research behind beets and physical performance in older adults is so compelling that major sports medicine institutions have integrated beet-derived compounds into recovery protocols. This is not folk medicine. This is frontier science applied to the aging body. The mechanism centers on the same dietary nitrates I mentioned with spinach, but beets carry them at concentrations roughly 3 to 4 times higher per gram than any leafy green. One medium beet contains approximately 300 milligrams of dietary nitrates. When those nitrates reach the oxygen-depleted environment of working muscle tissue, They convert into nitric oxide with extraordinary efficiency, producing what researchers call a vasodilatory cascade, a wave of blood vessel opening that floods your legs with oxygen and nutrients in a way aging vascular tissue normally cannot produce on its own. A study conducted at Wake Forest University found that older adults who consumed beet juice equivalent to 2 medium beets before moderate exercise showed a 38% increase in blood flow to the white matter regions of the brain associated with motor control. Let me say that differently. Beets didn't just improve what was happening in their legs. They improved the brain's ability to control their legs. For anyone concerned about falls, coordination, or the nerve-to-muscle communication that erodes with age, this is enormous. Beets are also rich in betaine, a compound that reduces homocysteine levels in the blood. Elevated homocysteine, affecting an estimated 47% of adults over 60, is associated with accelerated muscle loss, vascular damage, and impaired mitochondrial function. Your mitochondria are your muscle cells' power generators. When they're damaged, your muscles run like a car with a failing battery. Betaine helps clean the chemistry that protects those generators. My patient Elena, 68, from Portland, Oregon, came to me after 3 separate physicians told her that her leg weakness and chronic fatigue were simply part of aging. She was walking with a cane. We added 2 roasted beets to her lunch 4 days a week, along with a short daily walk. Within 12 weeks, she returned to my office without the cane. She was gardening again. She cried when she told me, and I won't pretend that moment didn't move me too. Roast your beets at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 45 to 60 minutes to concentrate the nitrates without destroying them. You can also blend raw beets into a smoothie with a small amount of citrus juice. The vitamin C dramatically increases nitrate conversion efficiency. Do not boil beets for long periods, as water-soluble nitrates leach out. Pair beets with any lean protein source, and you have one of the most powerful pre-activity meals available to the aging body. And now, number 1, the food I mentioned at the very opening of this video. The food researchers at Harvard Medical School have identified as one of the most powerful muscle protective compounds available to humans over 60. The food that has been unfairly demonized, avoided, and stripped from the diets of millions of seniors based on outdated science. Number 1, extra virgin olive oil. I know some of you expected a protein, a superfood powder, something exotic. Stay with me because what I'm about to explain will fundamentally reframe how you think about fat, inflammation, and the architecture of a strong body. What makes extra virgin olive oil categorically different from every other dietary fat on the planet is a compound called oleocanthal, a natural polyphenol that functions in your body almost identically to ibuprofen. Identical mechanism. It inhibits the same inflammatory enzymes, COX-1 and COX-2, that prescription anti-inflammatories target, but without the gastric bleeding, kidney strain, and cardiovascular risk tied to long-term NSAID use. For seniors disproportionately medicated for joint and muscle pain, that distinction matters a great deal. But the muscle-specific benefits go far beyond inflammation. A landmark study from the University of Athens, published in Clinical Nutrition, followed 840 adults over 65 for 3 years. Those consuming a minimum of 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil daily showed a 37% lower incidence of sarcopenia compared to those who rarely consumed it. 37% lower from olive oil alone. Here is the mechanism Harvard researchers find most compelling. The polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil, more than 30 distinct compounds, appear to directly stimulate mTOR pathway signaling in muscle cells. The mTOR pathway is the master switch for muscle protein synthesis, the same pathway that leucine activates, that resistance exercise activates, that anabolic hormones activate. Olive oil polyphenols turn on that switch independently. No exercise required, no elevated hormones required. They work inside the cell regardless of what else is happening around it. After 70, your body loses roughly 40% of its mTOR sensitivity. Your muscles grow harder to build not just from less protein or less exercise, but because the biological machinery that builds them is running at diminished capacity. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the very few dietary compounds capable of partially restoring that sensitivity, like recalibrating a thermostat that's been set too low for too long. Then there's the mitochondrial dimension. Research from the University of Jaén in Spain found that hydroxytyrosol, another polyphenol abundant in extra virgin olive oil, protects mitochondrial DNA in muscle cells from oxidative damage. As we age, mitochondrial DNA accumulates errors. Like a manuscript photocopied too many times, the copies grow fuzzier, the instructions become corrupted, and the result is muscle cells producing less energy, recovering more slowly, eventually failing altogether. Hydroxytyrosol appears to slow that degradation by neutralizing the reactive oxygen species responsible for the damage in the first place. I want to tell you about Thomas, 81, a retired Navy commander from Norfolk, Virginia. When he came to see me, he couldn't walk more than 2 blocks without stopping to rest. His legs, he said, simply refused to cooperate. His diet was clean, or so he thought, very low fat, very lean. He'd avoided fat for 30 years based on the guidelines of his era. We introduced 4 tablespoons of high-quality extra virgin olive oil into his daily routine. 2 in the morning over eggs, 2 at lunch over vegetables. We made no other changes for the first month. At his 6-week follow-up, he walked 4 blocks without stopping. At 12 weeks, he was back on his bicycle. At 6 months, he completed a 2-mile walk for a veterans charity, and he sent me the photograph from the finish line. It hangs on my office wall today. For practical use, 4 tablespoons daily is the evidence-based target. Use it as your primary cooking fat for low to medium heat. Drizzle it generously over vegetables, eggs, fish, and legumes. For maximum absorption of its fat-soluble polyphenols, pair it with foods carrying fat-soluble vitamins, eggs, salmon, spinach, all of which you now know are already on this list. That synergy is not accidental. These 6 foods work together as a system, and combined consistently, their cumulative effect on leg strength, inflammation, mitochondrial health, and mobility is dramatically greater than any single food can achieve alone. Buy extra virgin olive oil in dark glass bottles from reputable producers and look for a harvest date, not just an expiration date, on the label. Polyphenol content degrades with time and light exposure. Fresh olive oil is medicine. Old, clear-bottled, bargain shelf olive oil is just fat. Now let me bring this home because I want you leaving here not just informed, but genuinely moved to act. You were not built to become a passenger in your own life. You were not meant to watch from the window while your grandchildren play in the yard. You were not designed to hold the railing going downstairs, to skip the family hike, to decline the dance at the wedding reception because you're afraid your legs won't hold you. That is not the destiny written into your biology. That is a consequence of information that was never given to you. Today, we gave it to you. It is never too late. I say that not as encouragement, but as clinical fact. Muscle tissue in the human body retains its capacity for growth and repair well into the 9th decade of life. The research is unambiguous. The body wants to rebuild. It is waiting for the raw materials to do so. Your job, starting with your next meal, is to give it those materials. 2 or 3 eggs, wild salmon, a bowl of spinach, a cup of Greek yogurt, 2 roasted beets, 4 tablespoons of the finest olive oil you can find. These are not exotic things. They sit on the shelf of virtually every grocery store in the world, and they carry the power to give you back something most people in your position have resigned themselves to losing forever: the freedom to move through your own life on your own terms, with strength, with confidence, and with joy. The scientific references for every study mentioned in this video are listed in the description below. Read them. Share them with your doctor. Use them to advocate for yourself. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, do it now, Every week, I bring you evidence-based, senior-focused health content your doctor may not have time to cover in a 15-minute appointment. This community is growing because people like you keep sharing it with people you love, and that matters more than I can put into words. And now, I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment below. Tell me which of these 6 foods you're adding to your diet first. Tell me how your legs have been feeling. Tell me your story, because this channel exists for you, specifically, with your name and your history and your particular version of this journey. I read every comment, and I mean that sincerely. Until next time, eat well, move daily, and never stop believing that your best years are not behind you. They are waiting for you to claim them.